Absolutely.
Thank you, Meredith. So these group of ladies are all ladies that are pushing for promotions, whether it be first time executive, Ruby, Emerald, re-rank Ruby, and all the things. So that's who you have tonight as promotion ladies. So I think
I love that. I love it. So, okay. So type in the chat just so I can see with your name, who is going for what? Just so I can see it. Who's running? Okay, I see Ruby with Brittany, executive Maddie, Ruby, Cassandra, Terry, Ruby, Diana, Emerald. Okay, I love this. You know, when I was reaching out, I'm just gonna I hope you're okay, Rebecca, for me to just kind of jump in. When I was reaching out, I love when I reach out to leaders and I'm like, hey, let me know. Like, do you want to call one-on-one for you? I can do anything. And Rebecca came back and she was like, you know what? I don't want it just for me. I want my team to hear from you. And I absolutely love that because she's like, she could have just done a one-on-one with me and just like soaked it all up for herself. But she's like, I want you to share. And these are like, I want to bring some people to the table who are running, who are hungry, and who just really get everything that we're doing. And so I'm going to jump in and I apologize if I go off a little bit on tangents because sometimes I do that. But I just want to kind of speak into you all a little bit tonight. And for those of you who are watching later on, because, you know, a lot of times when we are, you know, getting excited and we're getting ready to build and we're getting everything ready to go, a lot of times we plan out a lot of things, but we don't plan out the things that can take us off of our game. Like, has anybody ever felt that way? Like, you're like, whew. So I want to share a couple of things that I have learned. And for those of you who don't know a lot about me, I'm going to touch ever so briefly on my background, and then I'm going to get into it because I really want to give you guys a couple of points that I've been sharing and working on that has to do with vision and the things that you need to do to keep your vision at the forefront to push you beyond so that you can achieve what you want to achieve within your heart. Because how many of you all, whether it be in this business, okay, or just in life, maybe you had a vision for something and then the vision disappeared or the drive disappeared? Like, anybody aside from me, like, don't leave me hanging. Like, all right, my sisters, my brothers, if there's a few good men on here, right? Like, life got in the way. At least that's what I told myself. And I'm going to probably step on some toes tonight. So good thing we walk on the bottom of our feet, not the tops, and the top will heal, okay? Because that's just how I roll. But a little bit about me really quickly is I've been in the channel for a little over 20 years. I'm going to keep it to 2 decades. I'm going to go with decades now so that I can prolong the third one just a few more years. But I've been in this channel quite a while. I have been on the field side a couple of different times. I have built massive teams globally, and I've been fortunate enough to be on the corporate side. And I love both. There's no area that I love more than the other, but I do feel like God called me to this place to be able to share my experiences and to share what I can and to be that bridge and liaison with corporate and the field so that we can make sure that we're doing all the things for you guys. So with that being said, as I share with you tonight, I want you guys to know, like, I've been in your shoes. I remember the first time I was going for that first rank executive. I remember when I was going for, you know, the equivalent to Ruby and Emerald and Diamond and Double Diamond and all the way up to the tippity top. And with each one came a different push for my vision. Okay. And you will also hear that I talk a lot of my faith because my faith and I are one. And that's just how I roll. So I'm not going to apologize for it, but that is my disclaimer. Okay. Because here's the thing. I relate my vision to just this feeling. And I want you guys to use your chat if you felt this. How many of y'all, the night you signed up, okay, you signed up for It Works, and you were like a little nervous. Maybe you wanted to throw up a little bit. You're like, what did I just do? Can't believe I just did this. Okay. And your heart's like pounding, but you laid there in bed that night and you had a little tinge of excitement. You had a little wonder of what if. If you felt that way, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat for me, okay? If you kind of had that little like, for a minute, you're like, ooh, what if? Like, man, I don't even know the what if that I'm what ifing, but what if? You know, for me, I look back and I'm like, man, that moment, I will never forget the mustard seed that was planted in my heart. And I relate it back to a mustard seed because I think that it's so amazing that in Matthew, the book of Matthew, God talks about a mustard seed. You need to have faith the size of a mustard seed. And in this business, you need to have faith. Not sometimes, people are like, oh, you've got to have this big, you've got to be all in 100% of the time. And you're like, I'm not all in on me 100% of the time. Like, this thing is a hot mess right here. And she's got some flaws. You know what I'm saying? Like there are days I'm like, I don't even know, like right now, you guys, I don't even know what's going on with this. Okay. So I'm just going to call that out because it's bothering me here. Okay. I don't even know, but it's fine. We're going to roll with it. But it's hard to be like 100%, but no, I think that's wrong. I think it's one of those things that, do you have the faith the size of the mustard seed? Because here's the thing, and I don't think it's lost on anybody, or maybe you've never thought of this, but if you've never done a little research on the mustard seed bush, the mustard seed, when planted in good soil and when tended to properly, can actually grow in your area and stomp everything else out. You see, and the Bible used that because we're supposed to have faith the size of the mustard seed, but if we tend to our faith and we grow our faith and we do the things that we're supposed to do, it consumes us. It comes out of everything we talk about. We see through eyes of faith. We talk with a tongue of faith. We hear with ears of faith. We do steps and actions that align with faith. And here's the thing I want to encourage you all with today is, do you have vision that is the size of a mustard seed? Because if so, if you lean into it, I truly believe this can be the vehicle to get you to where that what if was planted that night. But here's the hard thing, and this is going to be point 1, okay? This is going to be point 1 right here, is that you have to have with that direction and purpose. Now, you might be going, okay, well, Meridth, direction and purpose. Yes, direction and purpose. You see, when you plant somebody, you first have to know that it has good soil. Have you tilled the soil? Have you allowed it to get some vitamins and some nutrients and tilled the soil and drop the seed? And the next thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you water your plant, not too much water, but enough water. You've got to make sure that you tend to it daily. It might mean that one day you remove rocks around it so that it has proper area to grow. It might mean that you have to pull up some weeds here and there. Just like this business, you have to have direction and purpose. Well, what does that look like in our business? Are you doing your daily tasks? Are you doing your host to posts? Are you doing your reach outs and follow-ups? You see, you have to have direction every day in your business, and it must be done with purpose. Okay? It cannot be done like this, just aimlessly, no purpose, no direction. I'm just scrolling to look, but yet I call it work, right? No, that's not work. You've got to be purposeful in the time that you set forth. If you say you've got to do something, you've got to be a person that speaks truth to yourself. I'm going to hit that in just a minute. I'm going to come back to that point, but you've got to have direction and purpose. You've got to make sure that as you're growing your business, you're doing the daily things behind it. If you set out a timeline, what are you doing in that time? Are you being purposeful? Do you have direction? Do you know who you're reaching out to today? Do you know what you're going to post today? Are you making sure that you're using your time crucially? Or are you just spending your time aimlessly? You see, anybody who's ever planted anything ever in their entire anything ever, or if you've ever seen it, you know you can't just pour water continuously on a seed. You know what'll happen? It drowns, gets moldy, doesn't grow, right? You've got to make sure you're doing the right things. You can't just host and post, but you never follow up with anybody. You can't bring them on through the funnel. You can't just constantly follow up, but never add anybody new, right? You've got to do the tasks daily, but purposefully, okay? The next thing is you have to have some inspiration and motivation here and there sprinkled in. Hopefully that's a little bit tonight. But how many of y'all have ever tried Skinny Brew? Has anybody on here, like, drop a 2 if you like your Skinny Brew, and let me know, like, with a few 2s, if you feel a little zing, right? You get a little mental clarity. You're like, woo, caffeine high, right? Okay. Got a lot of people on here who like Skinny Brew. I love it. Let me ask you this question. Could you drink Skinny Brew all day long, nothing else, and go to bed at night and sleep in your bed, not feel like an earthquake is happening? No, because your body can't absorb that much, right? Same with inspiration and motivation. You need some, yes, but you need it in small doses. And it's point number 2. It's not point number 1. You see, sometimes having direction and purpose, that's the hard things, the day in, the day out. But sometimes you need a little spritz of motivation. You need a little inspiration to go, oh, I got to go back at it again. And you've got to recognize, or else your vision can get lost. Because here's the thing, if you're not getting a little inspired and a little bit of motivation every now and again, it can be easy to allow the first point, having to do the day in, day out, the directional, being purposeful, that can get tiring. It can get exhausting. You start to go, man, I'm doing the same thing all day and I'm seeing no results, right? I'm going out and I'm talking to the seed and I'm not seeing it sprout out yet. Because okay, go back, get a little, oh, well, it takes 15 days before you might see a sprig. Okay, that gives me a little motivation that I'm doing the right things and to continue to do it. And as your seed sprouts out and you start to see 1 or 2 shoots come up, you might go, man, I don't see anything. I don't see any fruit producing. Well, okay, well, that takes a little bit more time. Okay, good to know. You've got to know when to get your doses to keep you going in the right things that you do in, day out. And then the third thing is you have to be resilient and adaptable. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at a mustard seed and the bush that it produces. But once this mustard seed bush starts growing, and it can consume anything, absolutely anything, can stomp out the whole garden, the whole yard, if you let it just continue to grow rampant and wild. But it's also resilient. If it doesn't get water as it's growing every single day, it's okay. If it starts to go through a drought, and sometimes our businesses will go through a drought, you might have to lop off a leaf or 2. You might have a teammate come in and go out. You might have a customer who decides to move on. That's okay. Doesn't kill the plant, because the plant has the ability, if it chooses, to continue to grow. Will you have to do some pruning of the plant? Absolutely. It's also adaptable, meaning that if you give it parameters, that mustard seed bush can grow wherever you allow it to grow. And sometimes we need parameters. Sometimes we need to be adaptable. We need to say, like, I keep putting this one host and post up and it gets nothing. Then you might need to call Rebecca and be like, hey, Rebecca, can you review this? And she might go, you know what? Terry, this is good, but it doesn't sound like you. Sounds like somebody completely, that's not you. Tweak a couple of words. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to be able to have that flexibility to grow and to move and to be shaped. And so I want to encourage you guys tonight. I want to encourage you to be like the mustard bush. Because here's the thing, I don't think it's by chance that you got that little what if, that little seed of vision planted the day you joined this company. I think you saw it as a vehicle to be your what if. But here's the thing, I want to encourage you to know what you have. See, you've got to continue to pour into it. You've got to make sure that you are doing the diligent things, that you're being purposeful. And here's the thing. As you plant your garden, you've got to make sure that you don't allow things to come into your area that's going to tear out your vision. You see, you've got to make sure that you're pulling up weeds. Sometimes the weeds can be people you're talking to on a daily. It can be a family member. It can be your bestie going, you doing that little side business? Why are you being crazy? It can be you talking about your business. Well, I'm older. I'm not quite as young as these youngins. I see you. I know. I'm coming and knocking on your door. I don't have that many followers. I don't know that many people, or I'm young. My friends don't have money. They don't need these products. My community, they don't, we just don't have a lot of products at my community. You guys, God brought you to it with a vision. Don't you be your own weed. I love that, Rebecca, you just put there's power in the tongue. The scripture said there is life and death in the tongue. And with that, I'm going to come back to this other thing. You see, our tongue is so powerful and our ears listen to everything we say. And a lot of times, the one that we can't trust is ourself, because we've heard ourselves tell lies. We've heard ourselves tell ourselves that we're going to show up, we're going to do it this time. And we tell ourselves this is going to be the thing. And then we turn around and we decide not to do it. And a lot of times this right here and this right here can't trust this right here. I came to encourage you guys tonight. I want you to be brave and brazen. I want you to pray like Jabez. I want you to pray for it all. But then you got to go do the work. You got to go do the work like Noah, right? Well, everybody was calling him crazy. He was out in the rain building a boat. It didn't matter that they called him all the things, the drunk, the crazy. What was he thinking? No. Because the rain came. And then they wanted in the boat. And you guys, the business is the same way. So I want to encourage you, if you were given a mustard seed of vision, how are you being diligent in working your business on a daily? Are you doing what you said you would do? Or have you already told yourself, that girl right there, she lies a lot. Can't trust her. She's not going to do it. We got busy. We got life happening. Oh, this happened and that happened. And, life happens. Life happens. But you gotta keep going. Because otherwise, you're going to wake up one day and you're going to realize that it is too late. And it's not too late until I am in the presence of the Lord. That's when it's going to be too late for me. So even though I was late to this call, we got our dates a little mixed up here, I still had the ability to show up. And that's the first thing I said. Do they still want me? That was the first thing I asked. Because if so, I'm here and I'll hop on. It is never too late. It is never too early. You're never too young. You are never too old. You are never too white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, you name it, male, female, you're never too. That's a lie we tell ourselves. That's an excuse we allow our minds to hang on to. And let me just tell you, you guys have the vehicle. You were given a vision. Pour into it. Don't let it stay the size of a mustard seed. Allow it the ability. Because here's the thing, we started this off with a lot of goals. You want to go achieve those goals? You put a plan in place. You make a deal with yourself that says, I'm not going to lie to myself this time. I'm going to go out and do it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to set my path to do so many hosts and posts every single day. I'm going to follow up with this many people every single day. I am going to do the hard things and I'm going to do it with purpose. And if I need a little motivation and inspiration, I'm going to turn on some music and dance around for a second, or I'm going to go back to that vision board and I'm going to look at what is that vision that I have for myself. It's to break generational debt curses. It's to break things that were talked and said over my life. It was to go out and help other people achieve things that I never in my wildest dreams thought I could achieve, whatever that is. You need to speak it. You need to say it. You need to put it on your phone. You need to write it down. You need to put a plan to it. And then you've got to tell yourself, today is the day I'm going to take action. Because I'm worth it. And the vision that God gave you is more than worth it. And I guarantee you, you start talking like that, you start popping those shoulders back like that, and you start remembering whose you are because of where you sit next to the King of Most High. These goals that you had, you're going to blow right past them because your vision will continue to grow. And your vision is going to continue to sprout out. And the next thing you know, you're going to start dropping your own mustard seeds on other people and on other tilled ground who is ready. So at the end of the day, here's my question. If you're truly ready to go out and achieve those goals, what are you going to do different now, tonight, to set yourself up for the vision that is placed on your heart to be diligent and purposeful tomorrow? So, Miss Rebecca, thank you so much for letting me be tardy and hop on and share what I was planning to share on a different date, but I'm glad it worked out.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm sorry. You were early. You were like days early. But thank you so much. I do wonder if you would be willing to take back to corporate a request for us. So we have all been dying for an eFleet update when it comes to Tree Viewer. So you know how they have like people from, I'm from 2018, so all the way back then, people that are no longer active accounts for customers or distributors, and then we have to shuffle through them every month, and it's kind of depressing. When you've been in for a little bit, it's like, dang, look at all these people that we have to sort through to get to the newer people. So we're wondering if we could get a way to like filter them out, maybe hide them if we can't remove them, just like a box to hide people in.
I will definitely take that suggestion back. I know that they have some things in the work that sound very similar. But I will also say, you know what? It's all in how you look at it, you guys. I want to share this last little story with you because when I was in the field the first time, I was very young, very young. And I had this woman join my team and she never really did anything. And eventually some things took place and she no longer was on my team. She left the company and whatnot. And that's a totally different story. But here's the thing that I want to encourage you on is that sometimes the seeds that are planted are not for us to till and tend to. But here's the encouraging thing is that she went on to be a really great person in another company. And she came back a while later, not to the company, but to me. And she said, you gave me the first glimpse of hope that I had ever had after I lost my mom. So don't discount when you see those names as you're scrolling by, that they didn't serve a purpose and that you probably are something in their story as they could be something in yours. So look at it through different eyes is what I would encourage in the time being while we take this request back.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Definitely is all in perspective for sure.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you so much, Meredith. I really
Absolutely. Any questions or anything?
Yeah, y'all feel
Look at
free
the
to
book.
y'all can unmute if y'all don't want to utilize the chat.
No questions, but I just want to thank you, Meredith, for hopping on. And before you hopped on, I was going through some of my notes that I took from church this Sunday, and a lot of the things you were like spot on, exactly what I was reading off of. So I love it.
I love how God works like that.
I have one thing and I want to thank you. Can you we have some new people and then oldies like myself that have been here for a long time. Can you give like your best tip for those new people that aren't sure, they're still kind of learning the process, and then something for those of us that we've been here a while, we're still going, like just something quick for each category?
Yes, it's the same thing for both. Because it doesn't matter if you've been in for a long time or if you're brand new. Here's the thing, you guys, energy beats everything. If you're not excited and you're not passionate and you're not fired up, they won't be either. It doesn't matter if you're posting, it comes through. It doesn't matter if you're texting, it comes through. It doesn't matter if you've been in 10 years, 10 minutes, it comes through. I will take ignorant bliss on fire for the rest of my life before you learn a single thing, because passion and energy wins in the room every time. I used to tell people, you get me in a room, I guarantee you, they might not sign up with me, but they're going to know exactly how much I love what I do. And I also guarantee they don't love it as much as I do. They're not ever going to love it more than me, because I know that I can control my energy and my passion. And so you guys, I've been in this channel over 20 years. I am still so stinking fired up about the fact that we get to do things that people, it doesn't matter where you came from, your background. It doesn't matter that I didn't go to college or graduate high school. It doesn't matter I grew up in a trailer. It doesn't matter my anything. What matters is I show up. And I'm going to always show up with more passion and more energy than anybody else in the room. And as long as I do that, I guarantee you, you're going to grow your business. So that's what I would recommend for both. And it doesn't change. Is it hard to keep going sometimes? Sure, but not when I know exactly why God put me in this position. Because when I focus on why he put me in this position, I focus on my passion and my purpose. I don't have to worry about the power and position. He anoints that. He anoints that. I just focus on what I can focus on.
Love that. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions, you guys? Anybody else? Or a tip? Meredith, do you want to share any secrets?
I know nothing.
Do we have Christmas cash coming?
Listen, you guys, you have bonuses on the table right now that is better than any Christmas cash we've ever put out there. So like, you want some Christmas cash, you just stack those bonuses as high as you want to take them.
Yes. All right. Does anybody else have anything?
Well, thank you so much for being generous, everybody, with your time and with listening. I hope it blessed you guys. Thank you. I know it blessed me. If it didn't bless you, well, it was good for my ears.
Yes. Thank you so much, Meredith.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.